I'm Marnie Hughes, and this is Missing. Thank you for joining us. Each week, we cover a missing person case that isn't getting much attention. Every missing person matters, no matter their race, background, or circumstances. By highlighting these cases and sharing their stories, we believe every case is solvable. And together, we can bring answers to the family and friends of the missing. This week, our featured case takes us to Spring, Texas. A teenage girl vanishes after getting off her school bus. Alexandria Lowitzer had made a plan with her mom to get off the bus and then walk a stretch of road to her job to pick up her paycheck and then walk back home.
You're going to walk straight to work. You're going to text me, let me know that you're there, and you're going to text me and let me know if you're going to work.
Well, that text never came. Joanne Lowitzer came home to an empty house that day and no Allie. That was 15 years ago. Coming up, we're going to take a closer look at the events of that day and talk to both of Allie's parents about the investigation into her disappearance. Before we get to that, I have several other missing cases I want to share with you, starting with a teen found safely. After 20 days, 17-year-old Adriana Bussey has been located, and she is safe. Her disappearance on July 17th from Carthage, Missouri, sparked a massive search in her community and surrounding areas. Stacy Bussey says her daughter was found 4 hours away. Carthage police say Adriana voluntarily contacted authorities by the phone and then turned herself in. She, as I said, is safe, and arrangements are now being made to reunite her with her family. Police say this was not an abduction, and at no time was there a threat to the public. They also say the incident was isolated and no criminal activity is suspected. We're just thankful Adriana is home safe. Another arrest in the case of a missing realtor from Huntsville, Alabama. Ronald Dumas Jr. vanished in December of 2024. His car was found hours away in Memphis, Tennessee. Police now have Kiera Clark in custody, one of 5 suspects wanted in Ronald's disappearance. She's charged with aggravated kidnapping, trafficking for a commercial sex act, assault, and burglary. 4 other people were also arrested in connection with this case, and 3 others are still wanted.
Nobody has come forward yet that can point us to where Ronnie is. So that's the biggest thing right now, is just trying to find that one person or multiple people. Somebody knows where he's at.
This case remains under investigation. We also have an incredible story of survival to share with you after 13-year-old in Missouri vanishes. Dakota Trinkle Jr. was found safe at the bottom of a 240-foot ravine 4 days after he went missing. Dakota was out skateboarding at the time when he disappeared. He suffered a traumatic leg injury, and he was out there in the elements for 96 hours without food or water. He was then airlifted to the hospital, according to the sheriff, and is now recovering. Good news there. All right, now to this week's featured case. Joanne Lowitzer found us on social media asking for help, desperately trying to get the word out about her missing daughter, Allie.
Hi, my name is Joanne Lowitzer. I live in Spring, Texas, and I joined TikTok to help spread the word about my missing daughter. Her name is Alexandria. We call her Allie for short.
Allie was 16 years old when she got off the school bus that day in Spring, Texas, a suburb north of Houston. 3 witnesses reported seeing her stop at the corner to send a text. She was supposed to walk home from there, or first to get her paycheck at her job and then home. The first time her mom had given her permission to make that walk, but Allie never showed up. At 16, Allie Lowitzer wasn't afraid to take center stage. She loved softball and volleyball, fishing with her family, and being silly with friends. But her real passion was art.
Like one of the peppers from our garden.
Her mom, Joanne, has saved many of Allie's pieces, now a source of pride and pain.
It's been 15 years, and I look at her artwork and I'm like, I still have all of this that she left that still exists. Allie is in every single room in my house.
These are the last images of Allie, taken moments before she got off her school bus April 26, 2010, at her normal stop in Spring, Texas. Allie had begged her mom to let her walk the short distance to her job so she could pick up her paycheck and maybe an extra shift. She'd never walked the busy street before, and Joanne had conditions.
You're going to walk straight to work. You're going to text me, let me know that you're there, and you're going to text me and let me know if you're going to work.
Instead, Joanne came home to an empty house and no text.
Just thought, okay, well, she must be busy with work and she can't text me back immediately.
Several more texts and no response.
8 o'clock rolled around, 8:30 rolled around, So finally 8:45, because I knew they closed at 9, I went up there and I was going to tell her what was what, And I pulled up right in front of the doors and all the chairs were on the tables. No one's there.
Panicked, Joanne called police and Allie's father, who lived nearby.
So my thought was, well, she's just being rebellious and she's probably out with somebody, didn't want to tell you.
That changed the next morning.
Allie was the type that she loved to go to school. She didn't want to miss school. That's where all of her friends were. For her to not be there to get ready for school was a huge red flag for me.
The big question, had Allie ever made it to Burger Barn? The owner and several other workers said the same thing.
He said that no, that she didn't show up, that he hadn't seen her.
The school bus would have come from that direction and stopped right here.
Joanne has retraced her daughter's route hundreds of times, where she stopped to text her boyfriend, then turned to walk the short distance out of their development, down the busier quarter-mile stretch to the first intersection, and the strip mall where Burger Barn used to be.
Video surveillance was looked for. Surveillance was looked for in the area, and there was nothing in the immediate area that would point us in the right direction of which direction she went to or if she left with somebody.
Sheriff's investigators say it wasn't unusual for the restaurant to close early if it wasn't busy.
The owner and the employees who worked there at the time, and even prior employees who worked there, they were all cooperative and cooperated with our investigation.
Months of searching the woods around the neighborhood yielded no clues. Allie's colorful backpack and cell phone gone. Her parents left staring at that stretch of road.
It's a straight shot to the strip center where the Burger Barn was, so you really couldn't get off the beaten path, so to speak. I strongly believe that somebody knew exactly what they were doing, and they did it fast.
A bench at the local park honors Allie's memory, and her birthday, February 3rd, is now recognized as National Missing Persons Day. After 11 years, Joanne finally brought herself to paint over the chalkboard walls of Allie's bedroom. But she treasures her other walls, filled with Allie's art.
My baby did this, and it makes me really proud. On the other hand, it makes me very sad because I literally will daydream about what she would have created if she was still with us.
Joining us now are Allie's parents, Joanne Lowitzer and John Lowitzer. Thank you both for your time. I really appreciate you talking to us as we try to help in the search for Allie all these years later. I would imagine there's not a day that goes by that you don't think about Allie and wonder what happened. Joanne, let me start with you and some of your fondest memories of your daughter. What do you want people to know about Allie?
Allie's a very passionate person. If you were a friend of hers, she would do anything for you. Not just her friends, but her creativity was very important for her. I think it was a good outlet for her. And animals, her pets, she was very compassionate. If she saw a stray dog, she would try to find its owner. She was that type of person, very passionate and caring.
And had a big heart. John, how about you? When you think of Allie and your relationship with her, what comes to mind?
So I agree with everything that Joanne said. Allie had a big heart. She was friends with just about everybody, even though she kept her friend circle small. She kept a lot of people very close to her. She loved outdoors. She loved fishing. She loved Girl Scouts, being involved in softball, so very active. So yeah, just a very, very bright person, very creative. She loved to sing, and she was starting to get into, plays at school and things like that, and just seemed to be like a passion of hers.
Joanne, what was going on in Allie's life at the time that she disappeared? Were there any things that you look back on that then became red flags, or did things seem normal?
No red flags. Things did seem pretty normal. She went missing on a Monday, so that weekend was normal. Her new boyfriend was at the house. He was teaching her how to, ride a skateboard and, just enjoying each other's time, playing video games and laughing and joking. And yeah, it was very typical.
John, as I understand it, in the initial hours, you thought, and you shared, that maybe she was at a friend's house. At what point did it turn in your mind that something else may have happened?
Yeah, so the initial feeling for that was, she's a rebellious teenager. She's probably with a friend or something like that. Gave it a little bit of time, a little bit of a understanding, a little bit of leeway, and that she would come home. However, by the next morning, when she had not come home, that was when it really sunk in for me that something was definitely wrong, because that was very out of character for her. She was not somebody to be away from the house for a very long time.
In so many of the cases we cover regarding teens, the thought of them running away often comes up. Joanne, I know that was initially part of police response. Take us back to that day and your interaction with police and how they approached the case and Allie's disappearance.
When the initial deputy showed up at the house that evening, we were explaining to her what we had already done. We had already been out looking for Allie once I discovered that the restaurant was closed. Allie was immediately profiled, her age and her being female. The deputy looked in Allie's room very briefly, saw that there was black paint on the walls, and that Allie would wear eyeliner and black clothes, and very dismissive, I feel. And as she was leaving, she said, call us when Allie comes home.
How have you both confronted the challenges of that profiling, of the thought that it's a teenage girl, they leave, they'll come back? Joanne, I'll start with you on that. And has that changed over all these years in how people help search for Allie?
It was very upsetting for me about how dismissive they were. I understand that teenagers run away, they take off, and but your child better than anybody else. Especially a deputy that had never even met our family before, and for us to be told that Allie ran away was very disappointing. And to be honest, she had the label of a runaway until she was 18. And then when she was the legal age of an adult, they could no longer label her that.
John, what are your thoughts on that, and how much investigatively do you believe you all lost in those initial hours and days, if that was in fact the approach?
Yeah, so the initial contact with law enforcement was that night, and the officer was like, well, she's probably out, she'll come home, don't worry about it. Joanne and I, as Allie's parents, we know Allie better than anybody, And I'm 100% confident that as much as we were trying to be convinced that she was a runaway, we were trying to convince them that she was not. And I think we lost valuable time in those first 24 to 48 hours where we could have been, and I say we collectively, law enforcement and whoever could help, could have actually been out actually, doing some good and doing some research and searching. But I think we lost valuable time in those first 24 to 48 hours. And then the weeks after that were tough as well.
Yeah, I think about the case that we covered this week, the girl in Missouri, and social media played a big part in getting the word out that she was missing, and it had so many people talking. 15 years ago, was there coverage of Allie's disappearance? Was there social media outrage at that point? And were people on the ground searching other than you guys?
So, John, if you don't mind. So at that time, 15 years ago, there was social media platforms like MySpace, and Facebook was really just kind of in its infant stages. So I don't think that there was that much of a social media presence. I think Allie might have just started to have a Facebook account, and she was not active on it. So the social media aspect of it, I don't think was there. A lot of the legwork was done by myself, Joanne, our immediate family, our immediate friends, and literally just plastering the area with flyers that we had made, homemade flyers with pictures, and going to different places and asking questions. And as information was coming in, we would go talk to people and we would try to follow up on those leads. So that was a lot of that manual work, if you will. We didn't really have the social media presence at that time.
So you only have, the evidence of the footage of her on the bus, and then witnesses that say they saw her texting on that corner. Joanne, what about her phone? I know that both of you continued to pay for the phone, hoping that it would ping or that she would call home. Let's start there. Is that your best piece of evidence right now? And do you know at this point who she was texting?
We do know that her last text after she got off the bus was to one of her friends, asking what they were going to do that evening and if they could get together and hang out. That it did go missing with her everything. That the bus footage shows her backpack, her cell phone, her school ID, everything went missing with her. And the last ping on her phone was right there at the entrance of the neighborhood, right at about the time that she stepped off the bus.
And John, as we look at the images of Allie and those who were there at that point, do you have any suspicions on anyone who was in the area? And do you have any theories at this point about what happened after she got off that bus?
It's really tough to say if there is a specific person or anybody as a person of interest, because we just don't know. She just kind of like up and vanished, and we really don't have any witnesses, which makes it really, really tough. The pictures that you see there with her on the bus with her backpack and her cell phone, it's unfortunate that those are the last photos that I have of my daughter. And I don't want those to be the last ones that I have of her, and I don't have a choice in the matter, but at this time, but
yeah. As we mentioned, Allie's birthday, February 3rd, is now honored as National Missing Persons Day. Have you all worked with organizations, and I know I saw that age progression photo, have there been any tips or possible sightings, any leads throughout the years, Joanne, that have led you to believe that Allie's out there somewhere and that we can find her?
Honest, it's been 15 years, and the tips have been all over the place. We worked really close with NCMEC. We haven't had a very good relationship with law enforcement, but recently we have reconnected with them, and they assured us that they do track down every tip that comes in. So with that being said, the tips over the years have been sightings in Alaska. Allie was shopping in a Walmart, but then at the same time, she was, in a Walmart on the East Coast shopping. She supposedly was seen having dinner in a restaurant in a completely different state. And then we've gotten tips that images of her were found on adult websites, and to be sent those images just to rule those out is pretty horrific. But I look at every single one of them just to see if it could be her or not. So today we still continue to get tips of sightings of Allie, but nothing has led anywhere.
Joanne, the reason I know about Allie's case is because of your TikTok account and that you reached out to us. How has that helped fill the void of the unknown for you, and seeing a community out there who is searching and helping, a lot of people who do care?
I was very skeptical of TikTok at first, because you hear that people just go on there and make silly videos. And, a friend encouraged me to go on there just to see what it was like. And I was very surprised about the missing person and true crime community that is there, and the help and support that they offer. And through TikTok, I've been able to get more information and connect with investigators that have been working the case recently.
A powerful tool. John, what would be your advice to other families who, heaven forbid, find themselves with a child who goes missing in those immediate moments, hours, and days, so that they can do their best to bring their loved one home based on what you all have been through?
So I would say, first off, take preventative measures so that you don't get into a situation like that. Educate yourself, educate your kids, take advantage of community programs that may be available, online programs that may be available to educate yourself and educate your kids should there be a situation like that. If you do find yourself in a situation like that, I would say make sure that you've done as much of your homework as possible, get in touch with law enforcement as quickly as possible, and really just kind of take everything. The way that we approached it was we did a lot of legwork ourselves, so be prepared to do it.
Joanne, if you could say anything to Allie, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that I love her, and that if she is alive out there somewhere, that we're not going to stop until we find you. So don't give up hope.
Joanne and John, thank you. I know it's difficult, but I appreciate you giving us some of your time and sharing part of Allie with us. And we are here to partner with you and help as you continue to look for her. Thank you to you both.
Thank you so much.
To this family about what happened to Allie Lowitzer, you can contact the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Detective Timothy Hayes, on the case. If you have a missing case you think we